Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my studio, Twisted Paper Studio. I'm showing you this because I can't work. I have stuff everywhere that I took out that I'm realizing, I'm going slow as I can. I'm realizing my studio is not organized yet. Remember I said I was going to do that with you? And I kind of put it all in its place, but I didn't organize it to my flow. So I figured I'd make a video today and we can organize it to the flow. I already knew that it wasn't organized to my flow. However, I didn't think it was going to affect my work, and it is, because I don't know where anything is. So let's get started, and I'll video some of me organizing it to my flow. I'll do it in fast motion, and then I will slow it down when I need it to be in its place and explain to you what I'm doing. So bear with me. I'll be back. First thing I'm going to do is, before I fast forward motion and get to going, I need to plan it. So I made myself a little planner book for this organization, and I want to come up with zones. The zones that I need to make my studio work. So if this works for you in what you're doing, you would create zones. If you're an artist, of course, you would start with what you go to first, to maybe pick first. So it would be your base, what you're starting with. And then maybe you'd pick out your paints and your brushes. And then maybe you would go to where you glue it, or where you use Mod Podge over it to seal it, or something like that. So I'm giving you an idea. If you're sewing, if all you do is sew and you have a sewing room, you would go to where your fabrics are, and then maybe your planning station on what you're making, your patterns, or you would do it in sections like that. So how you would start your project is where I would start your zones. In my room, that's what I'm going to do based upon how I would start my project. So if I'm not starting from the beginning and making a book, maybe I'll skip that zone in when I'm looking and pull from another zone. So my zones right now are going to be my bases, meaning my base of what I would make. So either what's in my box, what's in my bin kind of a thing, you'd pull from there. So your scraps of mail and your scraps of cardboard and your scraps of cereal boxes. If I'm gearing this towards my studio and what I do, so you've seen my channel and you kind of know what I do. So what's in my bin stuff, and boxes, and envelopes, junk mail, junk things. All right, so that's what my first base would be, my bases of things. Okay, I'm gonna make that a zone. My second zone would then be, what I would pull out next would be paper, how I would decorate it. So let's choose decorate. Decorating paper. So I know that my first choice of what I'm going to be choosing is that. My second choice will be paper. And this is a wide title because it could be digitals. It could be decorative paper. It could be wallpaper. It could be specialty paper. Anything like that. Okay, that's my second zone. My third zone, what else do I need when I'm starting? So when I'm thinking about what I put up on my desk, so I'll need to look for what's in my bin or boxes or envelopes to start on my base. Then I'll need papers. I'll need glues. So maybe And that's kind of like a tool, but I do have lots of different glues, so I'll keep that in its own zone, the glues. All right, and then let me see. I'll need my bookbinding things in a section so I can find them quickly and easy. And now in the bookbinding zone, I'll need my clips. So in my glue zone, I'll probably put my scrape cards because I'll need those. Scrape cards, and that's kind of like a tool, but I don't know yet if I'll keep them separate, but I might keep them near the glue. They'll be a tool. My book bindings are tools too. I'm sorry, they're working upstairs in the apartment upstairs, getting it ready for a new tenant. All right, so my bookbinding tools will be in its own zone, but they're also gonna be tools. So I gotta remember that these are tools and these are tools. So maybe I want my tools to stay near each other in the zones. What was I gonna write here? Bookbinding. Oh, clips. My clips are also tools, but I know they're with my scrape cards right now. So I think all these tools need to stay together. All right. Those are my zones right now, sort of in here, but they're chaotic. My next zone that I pull from all the time is fabric. Am I up to 5? Yep. Fabric. So I'm going to make a fabric zone. Now, I have lots of different fabric. I have fabric that's folded, I have fabric that's large, and I have fabric that's scraps. So I'm going to have to play with that. So I have large pieces. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Is it I before E except after C? Yeah, it's I before I spelled it right. Large pieces. See what happens when you don't write anymore? Large pieces, small pieces. Yeah, I did it again. Then I have scraps. Okay, but then in my fabric, I'm also going to put ribbons because I have a lot of those too. So I might as well include them in the fabric area because I would pull from them when I'm pulling from my fabrics. And then I have, what else is my sections? Let me take a look here. Oh, so so now we're going into more things. Now I have stamps. They're behind me. So these are the things that I would use to decorate. This is decorate. After I've already made my base, or while I'm making my base, decorate. So I have stamps, I have ink, I have eyelets and brads. Those will go in my tools. I'm trying to take a look so they all kind of stay in the same area. Tools. These are all tools. I consider these tools. I consider the stamps and inks tools, the eyelets and brads tools. But also decorating. These are decorating things. I have washi tape. But they already have a home. I just need to make sure that my things flow with each other and each place has a zone. All right. I think I'm seeing just a few touches that I have to do to reorganize and recategorize things. But I'm going to make this the start of my zones. So I'm going to do a fast motion forward. So I'm going to set my camera up from a little bit far away. And if you see me go off camera, I'm just putting them in piles. And I'll show the piles after. So I'm going to put them in piles for my zones. Each zone, if they're not in its place. If I already have it in a drawer or a bin and it's labeled, I'm probably not going to take it out of there. But I am going to redo these shelves and recategorize them so they're in my zones so that I can work a little bit more consistently and freely without having to think so much where things are. So I'll go ahead and get started. I hope this helps you out as well. If you, if you don't want to see me fast forward, you could fast forward through the fast motion. It's going to be quick though, because usually like a half hour to an hour's worth of work ends up being about 30 seconds. So I'll be back real soon. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm just showing that I took my first zone that I said, and I made that all of my paper base. Anything that I would take to start my book that I would take from, I made it over there in this section. And then in this section here, I'm going to have to complete it, but it's the papers that I also choose from. So maybe on the side where the bins are, I'll keep that, my paper scraps and the papers that I'm choosing from. And on the left side, I'll keep the things that I'm working on. I haven't decided yet what I'm doing to the top. And then also in this file cabinet drawer here, I have to wait for spring to spray paint it white, because I do want to spray paint it white. But in the drawer, there are all tools that I use and embellishments that I use. So I'll have to go over my belongings and organize it a bit better than what it is now, because I do have things that I took off this desk here that I could put into the drawers and put away and just keep a few pieces out, because right now I have an abnormal amount out that I don't need. So I'll continue now with the other side, which is now there's empty shelves here, and I'll go ahead and categorize that and reorganize that into my fabric section, because I have things mixed everywhere right now. So my let's see, the next zone I have, oh, you could see I made such a mess and even spilt things. The next zone I have, sorry for moving the camera too fast, is let's see, glues and scrap cards, tools, bookbinding clips and tools. So that is here. That is where all my tools are here. I have, up there is what I have to make my snippet rolls. Then I have stamps. And then I have inks and tools. So I think I'm just going to leave that where they are. And that's my next step where I would go. And then I'm going to skip over to the zone of, where was the next zone? Was, I believe, the fabrics and ribbons and things like that. So I will go ahead and fast motion that, and we'll get this organized here. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. Well, it'll probably be less than that for you, but I'll be back soon. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope this is helping you. Okay, so what I've done now is stuck with my zones. I went from the paper. Let me see if I can back it up because I'm close. That's as far as it will go. So I went from all the paper to the bases. Over here is what I'm going to pull from. So I did stick some things on this shelf from the other side. I continued with it being just paper, and then also the things I pull from first, which are my scrape cards and my little trinkets that I have, the eyelets, the brads, the clips, things like that. And then we kept the tools, what I pull from a lot and what I make from a lot, right in the center. They're already labeled, so I just have to put things away back into them. And then I continued with the tools. Now I do have some bins down here that, you know, go into the fabric because we're already there and that's a place for them. So I'm just leaving them there. I'm not going to move them around. They won't fit on this shelf over here. So I kept those there. Then I just continued with the tools. I put tools that were mixed in everywhere over here. So they're flowing with my tools to go to the next step. In some, excuse me, in some of the tools, I have embellishments. And then I also kept the top part more along the lines of paper because I do have paper up there as well, so it flows right down into it. What you saw me putting under the bin there was the papers that I have in rolls, and then I put some in the bin below it that is also vintage type papers that are large pieces. So it flows back into itself with the tools coming from over here. Then I have tools there. So I kind of have those zone sections. And then I started this shelf just making it fabric. And I do have a lot to go through on my table. So I will be putting that all away. The fabrics in there. And then it flows into that drawer is mix matched, so I have to put the tools back away where they go and ribbons where they go. So I do have to go through those drawers. Are not going to stay the way they are. They were taken from my other studio, and it's a mix match of things. But during the process, I had my bookbinding tools in this little basket here, and I took it out because I cleaned that off. That was an old spoon filing thing that I found, like for a drawer that I found thrifting. I really liked it. I believe it's like cedar. I put my bookbinding tools in here. So I just categorized it with the string, the tools that I used, the awls and the needles, and then some of the grid papers that I have saved, and some more needles. So now I have my bookbinding tools exactly where I need them, and I won't lose them and I won't cover them up. Okay, so I'm going to continue cleaning off my table, and I might even do some more sorting with you, but I figured that's a good place to get you to started. And then, of course, when you have your zones and you get them all into their places, because see, I got this in its zone, right? But it's not organized to where I would be able to find something without searching. So once you place your things into zones, you can then go and do zones of your zones. So I could categorize this into just digitals, just book pages, just ledger paper, just books, just, you know, just bases of boxes, just envelopes. So there's lots of zones that your zones could become more zones in, if that makes any sense. But I hope this helps you in starting your categorizing of your studio. I would suggest to make zones first, how you work, what you start with, and then go with your flow, how you create your items in your studio by section. And I hope that helps you out. I am going to post this video, and then I'll show you an after in a future coming up video, because I do have a lot to do. And then I'll post a video later today also showing, we'll continue working on the book because hopefully I'll be done. It is snowing outside. I'll give you a view of outside. Hold on one moment. Oh, wait. While I was walking to the door to show you the snow, I did take off my, like I said, I took off from all those things. So I have to go through all of this stuff and categorize it and put it away. It's all from working and just piling it on top of everything. So it needs to be put away, and I'll have to do that and put that in my zones and my sections. But let's go over to the window outside so we can see the snow. It's snowing here. This is my view from my porch. And that's the snow. That's what I see. Normally in the summertime, the trees are all covered, so I don't have to see anything else. And it's kind of private back here. I like it. But I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day, and I'll see you later, and we'll finish some more ephemera in those books that I was making this this video. Okay, bye for now, my crafting buddies.